the miracle doc, they counted me out. Moment of truth, counting it down. Underdog story was down for the count. Back on my feet, back with a mic, back on the beat, back with a family that bang in the streets. The game on lock, I stand with a key. Standing my ground, I am planning to flee. Standing my ground, I am planting my feet. Taking a stand, embracing my destiny, shaking his hand, flipping the script.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sunday Night CrossFit Talk. A whole day of football. I got to put on my football announcer voice at least a little bit. Yeah, we're here. We're back every week. Got a little bit of news to talk about this week, but how you guys doing?
Let's see. I got sick on Tuesday. Just like super head congestion and chest cold. Lucas had senior night Monday night for tennis, and then Wednesday was leagues. They won the league. Lucas took third overall in the league, but the team won. So tomorrow we're going to Hope College for an all-day tournament. And then Wednesday is regionals, and they have to finish top 3 in the region to go to states. So hoping for a good performance. He's getting sick now, so I'm like super nervous.
It baffles my mind that you go all day during a school day.
Oh yeah,
to compete. They would never allow that to happen when I was in school.
Yeah, I had sent Scott that we were at tennis, and he had mentioned that, and it was count day for our school, and I was cracking up that none of our kids were there. I don't know if they worked that out, if they had them, because not that I know of, that did any of those kids go inside and like check in for first hour. I don't know if someone walks out and is like, oh, they're all right here. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was a little. Do you have
count days in Canada, Carolyne?
I've never heard of that. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Count days.
So, to get the money.
Yeah, you have a day where they come in and count your student body, right? And so like they send out this stuff all to the parents. Do not let your kids miss this day of school, because it, depending on how many bodies we have in the school that day, is how much funding we get from the federal government.
Yeah,
I think that's irrelevant for us.
Yeah, probably.
It seems stupid. Like, I don't understand why.
Don't you just have like a
matters more than the other 180?
Right.
I mean, for us, like the secretaries would just have the numbers of the students that are at the school, and if someone was asking how many students attend our school, like they would just give that number. The number of students can obviously increase staff on, like the amount of staff that we can have on board, or we might need 2 principals, like a vice principal, if we grow to a certain extent, but I don't think it has anything to do with that. Like the secretaries would just say what the number is.
Lex says that's too logical, Carolyne. Yeah, leave it to our government to add stupid steps to a process that make absolutely no sense. Because like it literally, like, just what's your enrollment, right? And send that to us. Why is it on this day of the year it matters more than any other day?
A lot of times it's like when there's a rule, there's a story. So I don't know if people were just lying before and trying to get more funding, especially if your school is funded based off of how many students. Like the way that we run our schools is obviously different in Canada. So I would assume that there's some slight differences there.
Well, and this is not a brag in any way, but the district I live in, we have supported the school so much through taxes. We don't get hardly any funding anyway.
Yeah.
So it's very minimal what we get, but they want to get every dollar they can of that minimal amount. So they always make sure that your kids are in school that day.
Interesting.
So, Carolyne, your number 1 fan is here.
Yeah, she is.
She's let everybody know.
She's coming to Canada in a few weeks, so maybe we'll do a show together on one of the nights.
Oh, yay.
Craig is reminding me that the Bears won today.
Nice.
Which they did. And Lex is asking if I'm drinking anything good. This is actually just iced coffee. It's what I have a lot of times when I've had a long day. And I'll explain that after Carolyne's done.
No, this week has felt like the most regular week of school since the beginning of the semester in September when school started. I just feel like I've been on the go from the get-go in September, like with NorCal, just traveling with different things. And then this week my schedule changed. So I got that. So I was teaching a leadership class at the beginning of the year, which I've never taught before. And they gave me back my grade 10 math. So I now have, which I was teaching since I got back from NorCal anyways. Like I was teaching 4 classes instead of 3, which we always teach 3 during the day. So now I have math grade 9, math grade 10, and then a fitness class. So, which is my regular schedule the last year. So I just have, like I just know what I'm doing with that class. And, have everything planned. So it just was like a relief to get given that class. So excited to get going, and then I'm missing school again this week. So
Yeah.
Well, I've had a pretty good week actually, but this weekend I still have my wisdom teeth, and every once in a while they try to break through the skin in the back of my mouth, and this is one of those weekends. And it's very painful. You can barely eat because it hurts to chew, and then they'll recede. Like the one is already receded. I'm just waiting for the other side to recede, and it's just made like the last day and a half kind of miserable because I can't eat, I can't sleep, and thus the iced coffee at 8 p.m. To get through the show. And my body processes caffeine pretty quick anyway. So usually I can drink coffee and then fall asleep anyway. But that's been kind of my week. But the week started out really good because I weaned myself off of insulin this week.
I did see that on your other show. I was like, oh, yay.
So yeah, the deal was every time I could get 3 days under 110 blood sugar, I could lower the insulin 2 units, and I was at 10. And so I've weaned it down, and now I've been under 110 enough times that it is totally gone. And hopefully never to take it again. And that was a big, crazy, thank you, Beck. And that was a big, crazy thing that happened during the AFib, where during that time my blood sugar spiked, and been trying to get it down ever since. And I've been working very hard at that, and a huge accomplishment.
Congratulations.
So super stoked for that. And then to feel miserable this weekend is just kind of crazy, but it's just my teeth. It's really nothing else. And it'll go away as it always does. It only flares up like once every couple years, but man, when it does, it just really hurts. So that's that. Carolyne, you tried something new this weekend.
I did. I showed up to the Hyrox in Toronto. There were so many people from the CrossFit community, like the local community. A lot of people came down from Quebec too. Like I saw a couple of people from Pro One. Sam Cornoyer was competing. Emma Lawson and Jack Farlow were doing the mixed doubles. And then just like local CrossFitters that I would know. My one of my best friends at the gym, who I used to compete with years ago. I think the last time we competed together was 2017, and he asked me to be on his team to do a Hyrox, which normally I would not because it's a lot of running. But I was like, for you, I'll do it. So I said yes to him, and he's like more of a weightlifter now. So we just decided to do it for fun. And honestly, I was really impressed by him not like lasting the whole time, because he's had 3 knee surgeries in the past year and a half for his like ACL reconstruction stuff. So to last that volume was good. When I first got to the venue, like it looked like just a shit show of things going on, and people like running in a circle and then going to stations, and then people are like that are trying to get to places, like are waiting for people to run by and then like cutting. And I was like, what is going on? Like, it's nothing like a CrossFit event. And then I was like, this is so confusing. But then once I got briefed and saw everything, I was like, okay, like it made sense. And then once you were actually competing, it was very easy to follow. They had huge like yellow signs of like station 1, 2, 3, all the way to 8. Not many judges on the floor, I felt. Like when you're doing different, and I don't know if it's just the Toronto one or if this is a standard of Hyrox. I will assume a lot of them probably don't have as many judges. But like when you're competing in CrossFit, you always have a judge for every movement that you do every rep. And here you don't. You kind of had like a judge just kind of rolling, like looking at a few things sometimes. Only the wall ball, I think we had a specific judge and maybe another station or two. So like there was a lot of no reps from people that I was like looking at the whole day. But it was really fun. Like to me, it just felt like a good long workout, like a long grind. We got to do the runs together and then share the workload how we wanted.
Did it feel like a community? Did it have the community aspect of like a typical CrossFit local comp?
Yes and no. I wouldn't say as much community just because it like there's so many people that are just going through this race. Like it's just like you get to your briefing like 10, 15 minutes before, and then you go through the race, and then like it's over before you like not before you know it. It's long, but like it's hard to like see people and really sit down and chat. Like there wasn't that much seating. Like there was one bleach area, and then everyone's just kind of spread out around the course looking at different stations. Super boring to watch, like because you're just watching the whole thing the entire day. It's just like, I mean, for hours and hours and hours, it's the same workout. So you just look over the bleacher and you look at that station. You're like, okay, I'm sick of watching wall balls. I'm going to watch the burpees. I don't really want to watch the burpees. So it's like something that's like really fun to do, less fun to watch. Very accessible for people. There's different versions of it. Like there's a relay version. There's scaled weights, stuff like that too. I can see why it's very popular for sure. Because yeah, it is. It's not as intimidating as going into a CrossFit gym and having some of the skills that we'll have. But I don't know if I'd want to ever train just for Hyrox. Like it would get so repetitive to me.
Anderson says, sounds like a Spartan or a Tough Mudder. And that's kind of like what it is. You show up, you go to your start time, you go, when you're done, and you kind of like move on.
That's what it felt like. It was fun though. Like I'd like to do one, let's say like with Lex, like as a doubles, just to, see what we can do together. But yeah.
Did you guys beat Jack and Emma?
No.
Just teasing.
No.
I'd be curious how they did together.
They got an hour.
1 hour?
Yeah.
Have to pull up the leaderboard.
Yeah, you could pull up the leaderboard. I think they were like today there was a few people. So there was 2 days of divisions. Today there was a few people within like the 57, 58, 59 minute range. But they were within the top. I think they may have been second in their age group overall, second or third within their age group. So they were in like the 16 to 29. And then there's like a 30 to 39, 40 to 49. It's just like the average age of both of them where it falls. So
okay.
like I was in the 30 to 39 division with my partner.
Yeah, I was curious what the vibe was like, and because you hear about it all the time, but I've never been to one. But now I know because you've been there and you told us.
Yeah, it's just like I said, more fun to do than to watch. Like I couldn't stay there all afternoon, even though like some of the members from my affiliate were racing. I was like, there's no way I'm staying here until 7 to watch.
Well, probably kind of mind numbing to watch some of those reps if you're just sitting there watching all of that. Get away with all that.
I didn't know if it was like, I mean, you go to local CrossFit competitions too, and like they're not as strict on some stuff. So like I didn't know whether it was they're strict on the pro division and maybe less so on some of the other divisions that aren't as competitive. So like that, I don't know for that.
I have heard that the pro like gets a judge that's,
which I would assume. And you know what, like we also do that in CrossFit competitions often too. Like you let things go as a judge sometimes when you see people, you're like, they're like, especially if they're like older or like in the amateur division, like things are like go in CrossFit as well, but maybe not to the extent that you'd see at a Hyrox.
Yeah, I mean, I've judged at local comps where the person said, hey, give a warning before you give a no rep and stuff like that.
Well, they have this like box for the wall balls. They're like, if you feel like you can't squat to depth, like go to this box. This box is way above parallel. Like you may as well go to the box if you can't, like it's literally like you're not even close to parallel, like if you're squatting to the box, but it is what it is.
Okay. All right. So next on our list is episode 5 of the documentary series Behind the Scenes at the CrossFit Games. Comes out tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. And that is 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. And we have a trailer. So here we go.
So this is your first time at Games.
Yep.
What have you enjoyed the most?
I would say the people, just being around everybody. I really like the competition standpoint of it, of, warming up, talking to people in the back. I think one thing that's I was glad to see, because it's generally my personality. I don't take this stuff real seriously. There's a bunch of us I talk to them about and be like, listen, I could win this event. I could win this entire competition, and I still got to go to work on Tuesday. And I'm going to have a bunch of emails, and my boss is going to say, here's what you missed. Let's get to work on it. So I think a lot of people have that mindset. And so it's just good to just be like, hey, we worked really hard for this. It's a heck of an accomplishment. So to be able to turn around and try and perform on the floor.
They call me the magic man, got a trick up my sleeve, always pulling the upper hand, I win and repeat. My method is so advanced, like a supercomputer. I wind them up like a rubber band, and I send them back to the future. I can do anything, believe it or not. I make it look easy when I'm taking the shot. Precision is critical, breathing and let it go. Break through the physical, this is the pinnacle. We going over the top.
Rough cut, but quick trailer. I loved when Brett talked about, he has a full-time job, and yeah, he loves competing at the CrossFit Games. And what's cool about these Masters athletes is he had a job to go back to on Tuesday, and Carolyne knows that as well as anybody, right? No matter how he finishes in that event, he had to go back to work on Tuesday, and his boss was going to expect all the same things they expect every other day of the year. And so I thought it was really cool that he had that perspective and shared it with us for the behind the scenes. So that comes out tomorrow morning. It's a snatch ladder event. The only thing that may change up after this week is going through some of the videos for the Echo Bike workout, which is actually event 6. The snatch ladder was event 4. I may combine with event 5 because nobody wanted to talk after the Echo Bike workout. So we have very limited. I'll put in the little bits we have, and you could just to show like how it wiped everybody out, and they had no interest in talking to us at all. And I'll put all that in after like a little montage. But I think I'm going to combine next week events 5 and 6. So instead of 11 episodes, it'll be 10. But that'll be episode 6, and I'll combine those two together. Does that sound accurate, Jamie?
Yeah, I had 4 messages in my inbox. Like, are you okay? Because I was apparently not okay walking around after that event.
So Andrew asks, did I interview any staff or volunteers, or did I only do athletes? I did athletes and coaches this year because I didn't know the kind of time frame I would have. And I had to put together something as a proof of concept so we could do this more and expand more. But if I would do it in the future, I'd love to talk to judges and event coordinators and stuff like that as we went through it, to equipment movers, whatever, medical team. I mean, I talked to the medical team a lot. It wouldn't have been too much to just turn the camera on them. But I had just one sole focus for this year, to do a proof of concept and then kind of put it together and see how it turned out and what I would need to expand that. I'd probably have to take one more person with me to ensure we had enough material for each event to do that. So I'd need 3 interviewers to pull that off with all the divisions the Masters has to offer and to be able to cover everybody. Because we tried to get a little bit from 70 plus all the way down to 35 to 39 and make sure that everybody was included. At least every division was included in this. So there's that. I don't know if anybody has seen this, but there's been breaking news in the last little bit. It popped up on Instagram that James Townsend was doing a lift, something he does all the time, and he got out of position during the lift and ended up pulling both quadricep muscles and suffering a left vastus medialis quad tear. And with that, there's surgery looming. And he is very upset with himself. If you want to go check it out on Instagram, he talks about how the competitor's mindset sometimes put you in bad positions because you push your body to limits. And he knew he was in a bad position, but he tried to fight through it. And right now he's in a frame of mind where he is under the thinking, is this the end of his athletic career as he knows it?
Yeah, for people that don't know James, he's like the most explosive athlete probably in our space. What he does for numbers is ridiculous. I think he power snatched the other day like 315. He can power clean 400, I think, very easily. If you look at the video, and he's like great jumper, like just raw athleticism. He's unreal. If you want to get strong, you basically go to him. And if you look at the video, like he often power cleans. He does better with like power cleans than squat clean, I would say. Like he's just a power athlete. And I think he caught it low. And I don't know if he warmed up his quads enough to squat the clean. And I wonder if like that was the factor that made him like pull there, just because he's so used to, like, he catches so high at ridiculous loads. So he just caught it very low there, which I never see him catch really low. Did you watch the video?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And James has been on the show a couple times. He's a good friend of mine. Always talks to me, and I always talk to him at different events. He was also Mal O'Brien's coach her first year at the CrossFit Games. And then famously, Mal moved to HWPO.
And Tudor's coach as well. He's coached a lot of great athletes.
But he was also a Chicago Bear.
Yep.
And that's how I first kind of reached out to him. Is he was a former football player. He played for my Chicago Bears, had him on the show, talked about it. He has a fantastic story that leads up to his athletic life and some of the mental struggles that put him in. If you've never heard that before, I know he's been on other shows as well talking about it. You should definitely check it out. He's a very interesting person. And my heart goes out to him, prayers that he heals up fast. And this is something that can be corrected and he can get back to coaching. He loves coaching and he loves coaching kids. And he has 2 amazing daughters that are gymnasts, and they hang out with him at the gym. And I just hope he can get back to being a good dad and coaching again because he's really good at it.
Yeah, his post was tough to read because like, you know, there's lots of CrossFitters who put their identity in CrossFit, and if a season gets taken away from you, if any, like, you kind of lose yourself. And I mean, you can tell he's nervous that he'll never be the same.
The same.
Yeah. And I pretty sure we had a member tear his vastus medialis like 2 or 3 years ago at a comp, doing like a power clean squat, front squat combo lift. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I think if it
go ahead, Caroline.
Just to bring up Lex's question here, will he have to be in a wheelchair? If he has to do surgery on both of them, then yeah, I feel like one of the strongmen pulled both quads last year or maybe 2 years ago. Forget which one. But I would assume that might have to be in a wheelchair for a little bit as the surgeries go, because you can't just do one if they're both pulled.
Yeah, if you pull a muscle, you are tearing the muscle fiber. It's just to what degree has it been torn?
Right.
Right. And there are grades 1 through 3 of a pull or a tear. And he did not mention what that was on the pulls. But he did pull both quads and tore the one,
BMO.
the medialis on the one. So I would guess that at least for a few days, he'd probably be in a wheelchair. But these days, like whenever you have major surgeries, they want you up moving because the blood flow is so important.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And like for him, it's tough because it's like he's not in his like early teens or 20s and more like I think he just turned 40 maybe not long ago. And I know he was training for like masters, track and field stuff and working on his sprinting. And I'm sure he had plenty of goals there. So, you know, when you have a major injury like that, you start, you know, it's defeating in all of your goals that you had set and plans for that year. And not knowing how you're going to recover and if you're going to have that same explosion again is it's the uncertainty, right? So thoughts to him and speedy recovery.
And that's not just for high level athletes. Like when my back went out, I went through the same thing. Here I find this thing that kind of saved my life and brought me back to something fun and athletic and lost a ton of weight. And when my back went and I couldn't do it, like it tore me up.
Mm-hmm.
It tore me up mentally. It's very, very bad.
Did you ever get back into swimming? I remember like months ago you were saying that you wanted to do that for like lower impact.
So I was going to do it right after the games. What happened at the games put me in a funk. I do still want to go back to swimming. And I probably will at some point this winter. Because once the snow comes, my garage is not going to be as easily attainable. And so I think that'll be the perfect time to get into swimming. But yeah. So, but I think I'm getting in a better position where swimming is even going to be easier when I do it anyway. Like, so yeah. Lex says also being a gym owner, having 3 young kids, he has a physical demand. He does. Sure does. All right. So the next topic, did you guys watch the barbell spin this week? Or I think they call it the spin now, the show where Arielle Loewen was on for the first 15 or 20 minutes. If you have not seen that, please go to the spin and watch that 20 minutes. It's really the last 10 she's on that are what we're going to talk about now, but she actually opens up about some things she posted on her story on Instagram about that. One of the posts was someone asked her about the games this year. She said they were horrible. And I'm paraphrasing at this point. They were horrible. And if I never competed in them again, I would be okay with it. And then in another post, she was picking out like different off-season competitions that an elite athlete would never do if they were competing in the games, because they kind of run around the same time. And that is like NorCal Classic, Crash Crucible. She picked a couple others that were kind of in the summer. And that, she said, that's how I would focus on those types of competitions as opposed to the games. So they opened up, they actually talked to her about that. And I thought Tyler was the best at kind of getting a summation as to what she was meaning by it all. Because he was like, I get what you're saying here, but I don't understand the emotional thing you're talking about. Can you explain it to me better? And she was basically saying that from the time of Lazar's death till 8 a.m. the next day when they went back out on the floor, it was CrossFit trying to do everything they could to get the athletes back out on the floor, and that she felt like a circus monkey, and they just wanted, like, her quote is like, they wanted circus monkey go out and dance. And it really, and it came to a head on Saturday morning doing Chad, when you're doing a hero workout, thinking about fallen heroes, and the announcer just talking about the race. And then everything that happened in the weekend kind of came to a flood to her. And right after that event, she packed up, and that's when she left.
We talked about the hero workouts prior to the games. I had mentioned that, like, I personally don't like the hero workouts in terms of like in a major competition like this, because if we're acknowledging, and honoring a hero, it's always, to me, weird to do a race for it and have the time be a huge factor. Like, normally you just, you suffer and you think about that person or whatever hero that you're doing it for, and you do it. So I don't, I wasn't surprised by anything that Arielle said. I've heard similar things from a couple other athletes as well, that's how they felt as well.
I'm going to kind of be putting words in her mouth, but it felt like she was saying that in her mind, she felt like they were being told whatever they needed to be told to get out on the floor.
Yeah, which included things like, having the blessings of the family. And a lot of athletes did, do it as soon as they heard that. And then when they heard that it wasn't, through Luca, that wasn't necessarily the case, I think some of them felt guilt and felt conflicted in this whole situation. And then they're like, we're just here to basically make money for the company and stuff like that. So I think a lot of them were going through those thoughts. And again, I can't put myself in those athletes because I wasn't there, but just from things that I've had conversations with athletes about. And it was that kind of get back on the floor, like do whatever it feels right for you type thing. But it was like the blessing was a huge part of people continuing, and this is what Lazar would want, and this and that. And I guess when the story was a little bit different backstage, people had conflicting feelings about what was happening on the floor and the rest of the competition and how it was going on.
I mean, I can see people looking back and questioning that, like, the blessing and feeling duped. And I can see some anger around that. But again, I don't think, I obviously wasn't there. I have not listened to this, but from most of the statements I've heard, and you just said it too, like, they were given the choice to walk out on the floor or not. Do what you feel is right. Like, nobody said you need to get out here and do this. Like, it was your choice. They gave them the right to not even compete that day and think on it more and come back the next day. You weren't even, normally if you don't step out on the floor, you're done. Like, I feel like they gave them a lot of leeway. And this just seems like, I'm sure right, like plenty of people had like their own mindset of how things should be handled. And when things just, and some people are just wired this way, right? Like something happens, this is how they would handle it. This is how they feel it needs to be handled, and it doesn't, and they're not happy with the outcome in the situation. But there was a lot of people who wanted to continue, a lot of athletes who wanted to continue.
Yeah, there were definitely a lot of athletes that wanted to continue, and that was their way to honor Lazar and to finish the competition and their seasons and stuff like that. But then there's another group of athletes, I think, that felt like while they did have a choice, they felt lied to. They felt manipulated to continue on. So you have that separation there. So like some people that want to, and then other people that were on the fence and kind of going back and forth, not really sure what to do. There are a big group of those, or there are athletes that I should say that did feel like they were manipulated into thinking this is what is the better choice versus like not putting that kind of statement out there and maybe allowing athletes to make a choice based off of I don't know if you want, like, if you understand what I'm saying, just like without that statement, I guess, behind. Because if you're making the choice to continue because you think that that's like the blessing and everything, and then it ends up not being, I think that changes your perspective. But that's for the group of athletes that I'm talking about. That
right.
And then there's another one that they were set no matter what.
Right.
She also said that there were athletes that wanted to keep participating, wanted to keep the prize money, wanted to keep at the games.
Right.
And she went on to say, like, she almost didn't compete in Tier Cup because there was a perceived divide amongst the athletes. Now, when she got there, it was not, she was relieved that it was not as bad as she thought it was. But they did it. And again, go to the spin and listen to the full interview. It's really worth the 10 minutes of that part that she talks. But they ask her about the PFAA and if her demands or her decision for next year are the same as the demands for the PFAA. And she said they were not. That her only real demand is that she wants a committee to run the games. She wants it to be more than one person. And she went on to say she doesn't care if Dave Castro is a part of that committee.
Would you not?
She doesn't want it to be just yes men either.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, would you not consider Heather and Adrian a part of the games team?
See, I don't think people even know what the games team is or who has what authority.
Yeah.
I think normally they have a lot of back and forth between ideas and stuff like that. But through all the interviews of this year, like Dave had continuously said, I got this. I have my creative juices going. Like I will do the individual side of the games and you guys take that. So I think that perspective made it seem like he was the only person involved. And he is a huge person involved in the final decision making of stuff. So I understand what Arielle's saying is, get more people thinking about the programming to have, different creative people and opinions on movements and take experience maybe also from other competitions. Like Pat brought that up before in his interview in terms of watching other competitions to not make the same mistakes and different things that they could program.
So Larry says here, if Dave is involved, he will have the last say. And then he said, I understand that she didn't want that. I agree. If Dave stays involved, that's just Dave. He's going to end up having the last say. So I think there's already a team.
I truly believe that, yes, with programming, Dave probably has the final say. As to whether the games continued on, I think that came down from the board, and right. they dictated, we can't lose money. You have to go on. And Dave was the face that had to go out and announce that. Right. But
the thing is if there's other people involved, they have to have equal say. Like if Dave is still at the top and they have opinions, but then everything at the end of the day falls on Dave's like ultimate decision. I think that that's where Arielle was saying, like, she wants it to be more, like you're not just a yes man to Dave and anything that he'll say. Like, you can have differences of opinion and have, like your say in the programming, and changes can happen with your ideas as well. I think that's what she meant for if Dave is to stay. She wants to make sure that the other people are not just trying to please him.
I do agree. I think you're correct. And that she was saying that. She was also asked in this interview, and again, the Spin did a great job. She was also asked if she was a member of the PFAA, and she said that she was not. And she was not, and they asked her why she was not, and she said she didn't want to get into that publicly, but she would say that actions speak louder than words. And so that hit with a pretty good thud, I thought. I'm trying to find something, and it was probably a story, and I'll never be able to find it again. But the one thing I want to say about the PFAA, which brought back this memory of mine, last year at the games, the PFAA made a post on Instagram. It was probably a story, but they had given a list of 10 items to CrossFit that they wanted fixed. CrossFit came back with answers for all of those. 8 of those were addressed and complied with. 2 of those couldn't be, and CrossFit gave the reason why not. So when the PFA keeps saying that CrossFit never listens and CrossFit never pays attention, like I think that's misleading, because there is evidence out there. I wish I could find it. Where they did send something to CrossFit. CrossFit answered them on all 10 counts, and the one that couldn't be done was riser stacked too high, because their insurance company would not allow them to be stacked more than too high, for reasons. And then the other one, I can't remember what it was, but I know there were 2 they had to say no to.
Yeah, I remember seeing.
And if you remember, bar heights were changed, so they had an option on the final event to go to the high bar or the low bar to do the bar muscle ups at the end of the games. And that was one of the requests that was put in there as well.
I think most of like those things are pretty like self-explanatory things that like CrossFit can change. And it's more so like what you see at different comps and what works and what kind of should get standardized. I still think the biggest issue with the PFAA and CrossFit is the fact that we have it's based off of its current athletes that are in this PFAA, and we have a sport of unknown and unknowable. And until because our sport's unknown, like there's certain things that like are not discussed with current athletes or should not be discussed with current athletes outside of just like regular standardization of certain equipment and stuff like that. Like having access to any type of information that other athletes don't have access to is a huge advantage. So I feel like the CrossFit side has like maybe it's hard to talk fully open on certain aspects because of the unknown. Like it's just like you don't it's not a thing in other sports. Like you can have the NHLPA or NFLPA and like have literally like a union and discussions with the commissioner or with the league about different rule changes and stuff like that. But yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is the unknown.
Well, and to be honest, every players association and executive committee do not get along in every sport. They want different things. They want 2 different things, and you've got to come to an agreement. And to me, at this point, I think both sides are having a hard time with compromise.
I wonder, like, if you could do, every competition, the events need to be out, 1 week in advance or something like that. it's still unknown in terms of like you didn't really train for it. You're not able to test everything. And then in that week, the PFAA could look at the workouts and if there was any safety concerns or anything like that, or I don't know. I guess it's somewhat of a compromise, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't know what the solution is because of that part of our sport.
Yeah.
While it's super important to our sport, I think it's the biggest thing that hinders the growth of our sport, in my opinion.
And we've talked about it a lot. Like the minute someone gets an edge because they know something ahead of the other athletes, then it puts into question everything around the event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we see it every year. Every single year, people have leaks of different information. We saw it this year. We saw it in other years. Like the amount of people that were practicing Chad this year with the boxes that were like that. The leaks in the
figure out where
the Open.
The leaks came from? Was it Sydney? Did anyone?
Haven't heard. I am not in that circle. But
it could be from
I
anyone.
ask you this.
Like they're all the thing is they're all friends with competitors. Like Tudor's friends with all of those young people like Dallin and them that were was doing it. Like you have no idea. Sydney has a twin sister competing. People are part of training camps. Like it's so hard to people that are testing workouts are part of training camps or have friends that are competing or friends of friends. Like it's
well, Crash Crucible is coming up this weekend. We know every single event, and we knew it last Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
Does it hurt that event that we know them 2 weeks ahead of time?
No.
The only thing
I think it just gets. I think there's nothing wrong with releasing the workouts 1 or 2 weeks in advance, and like it's not like you train the whole year for knowing these events. Like now you get to practice and have a better showcase there. There's less questions about the flow of the events, the standard of the events. Like JR sent out everything on the flow, the equipment that was used as well, like what types of barbells are used and like everything. So you can literally visualize the workout and see it happening. Like I think that's professional. And it avoids having mistakes there. And if someone sees something that might be problematic or could be maybe they didn't think of, you have a week or two to talk to JR about it and maybe it gets addressed and they change something. Because now people are trying the workouts and this is the time that you figure out if there's something that needs to get changed. Like that to me is professional. Like you know what to expect without killing like the unknown. It's still like it was unknown for like this whole time.
Yeah.
So then this week, supposedly, the rumor is that the third-party investigation will be completed and done this week.
Ooh.
What do you think the chances are we know anything once it's done?
I mean, I feel like the medical examiner's report or whatever has to become public, right?
The autopsy never was publicized, right?
No.
No, because I think it's being held.
Like they blocked that
Yeah.
for the investigation, you think?
I'm
Yes.
betting, yeah.
Yes. I think even if the investigation is done, I think there's still going to be lawyers involved to figure things out. So I don't think we're going to know anything for a while.
Well, John Woolley said this way back when, and so I'm just kind of quoting him, and it makes sense to me, and that is that due to HR law, you have to protect your employees that are named in the investigation until you finish out whatever you're doing. And even at some point, you may never be able to release their name. So I think if we do get it, it will be very redacted with names because they have to, by HR law, have to ensure the privacy of their employees.
Interesting.
Unless the employee gives them permission to release the name.
The things like that I'm more curious about is like people on the paddle boards. Like, did they have any certification, any equipment that they were supposed to have and just didn't have out there? Like, how, like most times like if you're running an event in a city, like there's a bare minimum of safety procedures that you have to have in place. Like, was this the bare minimum? Like stuff like that, I want to know. But for the most part, I don't think it's going to change most of people's opinions on what happened. We all had two eyes and saw what we saw. And will conclude. I feel like most people have their minds made up whether there's whatever proof or not proof of what happened. At the end of the day, I just hope and feel like things are going to change in the sense of they're going to have to find ways to make the sport safer, and hopefully they've learned, how many people should be on the water and all of the protocols that need to be in place to really keep the athletes safe. And it's tragic and unfortunate that it had to come to someone's death to make real change. But I'm hopeful that things will get better and nothing like this will ever happen again.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's probably multiple outcomes of this, but like, I feel like the investigation could have come back with something in Lazar's ownership. And I think if that's the case, we'll probably hear about it. And then other than that, I think unless they found just gross negligence by the team, whoever put it in place, and that's revealed and someone's fired, or I don't even know if there could be like jail time over something like this, but I'm sure there's going to be a civil lawsuit. So until like that's named and you see why, is there going to be something in the middle there? Like something, I mean, probably, I don't know. Like there's probably going to be really nothing. It's drowning. This was the plan that was approved by the city of Fort Worth. Everyone did their job. It just wasn't a good plan, and probably a plan is going to have to be revised moving forward is what the result's going to be. Like safety plans will be written a little bit more stringent in the future. Because it's going to be really hard. Like it's going to be really hard to put, I think most people would say the blame's on that paddleboard lifeguard. But I don't know that you can, like, what are you going to do? Like,
here's what's going to happen, right? I think people are already, like Carolyne said, they're already entrenched in whatever way they believe this needs to go. And they're going to find,
they saw what they needed. They saw everything that they saw. Right.
It's going to be worded in ways that you're going to pick the part that you need to support your argument. And so my fear is it's going to create a greater divide than to unify the community. And then we're going to have to recover from all this again. Like, I think Tier Cup helped us like move forward a little bit. And then this is going to get released and we're going to be back to square zero or square one. And we're going to be all going through this all again, rehashing everything again.
Yeah, it'll be all over the news again.
Yeah. And then those of us who are there are going to have to relive those days again and everything that happened. And it's going to take a while to recover. And hopefully Rogue happens fast enough that we have something positive to like look forward to. But my last thing about this whole safety thing, like, I don't think people really give a shit about safety. I think it's just that they either have an axe to grind or they don't. And it kind of, they're using Lazar's death to make whatever thing they want. I watched NorCal Classic and people dropping barbells almost on each other's heads in videos. I watched.
That wasn't from NorCal.
It was, well, okay.
The one that Andrew Hiller posted that went over someone, that is not from NorCal.
Okay.
I thought it was the like intermediate division or whatever.
That was from another competition.
Okay. My bad. I retract that. Tier Cup, I watch a floor that's soaked with dew. People are skating around. People are slipping off bars. And nobody said a word. Like, I think that people are just pissed off at CrossFit HQ. And they're using this tragedy to grind that axe at what's going on.
Agree.
So, and maybe I'm wrong.
I think
just
when
feel like-
money's involved, people like ignore or will.
Wadapalooza last year was a shit show in Miami, in the rain, people sliding, trying to do wall walks,
Mhm.
banging their head on the seating because the rowers were set too close to the seating. Like, there just was so many things that were of safety concern.
I think safety is important. I think that like you want to make sure that there's some like there's inherent risk in doing any type of physical activity, and I think you as an athlete need to take that on. But then there's other situations where it is like dangerous, like when it's raining and stuff like that. Like you want to make sure that you're protected and stuff. But you just hope that people don't. The problem is with some of those competitions when they have a lot of money on the line is they just ignore those safety things because of the money that's on the line. And I think that's where Arielle was talking about, like actions speak louder than words. Like when when the money is there, like put your, what's the saying? Put your money where your mouth is, whatever the saying is.
Yeah. Put
But-
your money where your mouth is. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you're talking about safety, let's talk about safety and let's change the sport and let's put the money to the side and make like actual change. Because if we just keep coming back to Wadapalooza and they get thousands of competitors, then, they're getting away with certain stuff all the time. But if people don't come back and, change is going to have to happen. But I think safety is important. It's just, it's sometimes like the money's on the line and people are going for it. Like it's just truth. And they're like, well, if they want to slow down for safety, like I'm going to go for this event. And yeah.
I don't know. I get upset because I knew Lazar. I am sad that he died. And I feel like people are using his tragedy for their own benefit sometimes. So that's why I get upset and think that people do things, but I'll take a breath and be okay with that for now. So on to like some better news. CrossFit. I learned of this when I was at the CrossFit Masters Games. Mariah Moore and Tyson O'Royd were at the Masters CrossFit Games, and they were tasked with doing vignettes of different people that were at the Masters CrossFit Games. The first one of those was released this last week, and it's really good. It's a little 5-minute vignette about one of the head judges at the Masters CrossFit Games who had a gym locally, got his like 11 or 12 people from his community to also come volunteer. And then they kind of followed them around and went to dinner with them. And they went around the table and told their story of why they did CrossFit, why it's important to them. And like almost all of them had major weight loss stories. And it was the best thing that CrossFit has put out in a very long time. It was awesome. If you have not seen that, you should definitely check it out. And according to Mariah, because we talked a little bit there, I think there's at least 5 more coming out from the Masters.
Is that on the new YouTube channel or something? Or wasn't there like a new YouTube channel, like a CrossFit training or something that they're doing? Is it on that? Or was it on Instagram?
It might be just on the Games channel.
On the Games channel.
I think there was a link from Instagram to the full video. I watched it on YouTube, so wherever I did not note down which channel it was on, but it's really, really good. And like I said, it's 5 minutes, so it doesn't even take much of your day to kind of check it out. And again, there's more coming. And I think they went to the adaptive and the teens too. They sent some crews to those. So hopefully we'll hear some stuff from there too. And it wasn't just athletes. So Andrew asking about staff and all that earlier, CrossFit actually was a head judge at the Masters CrossFit Games. So I know Becca Voigt is the subject of one of them. But because Mariah actually filmed me filming Becca for that one, and I don't know if it'll make the cut or not, but she explained it to me afterwards. That she wasn't trying to steal my interview. She just was, and I said, it's all fine. We're all good. We can work together. So yeah, go ahead and check that out. It's really good. And then I just wanted to finish up with Reps Ahead has announced they're doing Reps Ahead 5. And it looks like Thanksgiving weekend, maybe. I put the dates down, 23rd and 24th in Denver, which is where they first got started. I wanted to...
That's the week before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's like the last day of November this year.
So I'm going to share my screen. The venue they are using is super cool. So it's November 23rd and 24th. It is during the MBS Turkey Challenge. So they're doing it in conjunction with that event. But check out this venue. Is that not the coolest venue for like a one-on-one?
That's perfect.
Competition?
Yeah, it's awesome.
So what it made me think about is I've been watching Mr. McMahon on Netflix, which is the Vince McMahon story. And in the 90s, there was the Monday Night Wars, where WCW was going up against the WWE for ratings. And WCW had a studio where they would do a lot of their events, and the wrestlers didn't have to travel like they did in the WWE. Wouldn't it be cool to have like this dedicated arena like this for these one-on-one competitions?
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought it was pretty cool. They have not announced the lineup, but I just wanted to ask you two if you could make, like they always say in the fight game that styles make matches, meaning that not necessarily 1 versus 2 is the best matchup, but two people that have equal abilities at certain things make a better match than maybe 1 versus 2. And with that being the thought process, who would you want to see in a one-on-one battle like this in the CrossFit world? Pick one on the men and one on the women. A pairing.
I mean, I feel like they've already sort of done it with, like, you to pick body types, you pick someone like Colton and Scott Tetlow. Like, that's like the perfect pairing. They have like the same levers. So if you're going to do anything short range of motion, they're at least going to be pretty equal. Same with like Kyra and Annika, who just went. Very, very similar levers. I think I'd like to see, I mean, I would like to find somebody who's like almost like a specialist at something, and then find like their equal and give them a shot to see like how close they are. I'd almost like to see somebody like Emily Rolfe and Sydney Wells do something together.
Like a running thing?
Yeah.
Like a running toast to bars thing?
Yeah.
See, I think I'd almost want to see the opposite, like someone who's strong, but like still proficient at gymnastics, and someone who's a specialist at a gymnastics movement and maybe not as good like on a machine or strength, and how their styles, like where they make up time, could be different on each other. I think that would be like a good race to watch as well. As long as you pick the movements that they're good at and a little bit of their like weaknesses, I guess. Because if it's not balanced like that, then it's not going to work. You have to know the athletes very well and their strengths and weaknesses for the matches.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Guy picks Gabby versus DB.
I mean, Laura versus Tia, and you put
Yeah.
and you put like a machine echo bike that Laura will crush Tia anytime, any amount of echo bike, and then you pair that with some sort of ring muscle up, and Tia is one of the best in the sport in that. Like you could just do like a high enough volume where the amount of time that Tia would lose on the echo bike, she can gain on the next movement, and it becomes a race. But who knows?
Yeah,
Because people want to see the top people, though. That's the thing. They're not
Yeah.
like you can have good matchups, but you still want to see the top.
I want to see the top person maybe go up against a specialist.
Yes.
Like I think that would be cool. Like, and one thing that like popped into my head was I would love to see a rematch of Vellner versus Guy in a gymnastics workout where they don't have to, one of them doesn't have to be in debt based on the women who went before them.
Yeah.
Right. Cause that was a close race. And then you could do that in other aspects as well. Like, I don't know. And I'm having a hard time on the women's side.
Like Alex Kazan benching with something else with somebody else. Let's see how close somebody else can get. Or even like Gazan and Emma Tall with some legless rope climbs mixed in with some other things. I don't know.
That would be a good battle.
Yeah. I feel like Reps Ahead is getting in a rut of kind of the same athletes and very similar workouts.
Yeah.
It has a lift, it has a box jump, and it has something on the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm ready for something a little bit different. And I think it's okay. Like you said, Carolyne, when one's good at one thing and one's good at another, let them get a little bit ahead, but the other person has the ability to catch them. So maybe 12 reps isn't ideal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you just do it for time. I mean, it takes away from their concept, but
like that's why I think like was it the Fit Wars before? Like just like the workout is there, and I like the matchups and everything. The Reps Ahead is a unique concept, which I like, but I also like the Fit Wars where it's just like you grab two athletes. Let's see, this is the workout. Who wins this battle? There was something that was nice about that format as well. Like
Great.
the Reps Ahead took that aspect of the head-to-head and then made it unique in the differential scoring system. But I miss the Fit Wars aspect of just doing a workout and who wins.
yeah.
Get to point A to point B however you want. If you want to go out hot and then die and the other person goes out slow and then catches up, like I like that.
I always thought it would be cool to do a Fit Wars and basically like everybody that comes to watch donates money, and whatever when the winner wins, they get all that's donated from the chat. Like that is something you could do through our software. A phone in one gym, a phone in the other gym, do the workouts and go. One thing I would love to see is Carolyne Matthews and Jamie Latimer.
Yeah.
Their head-to-heads are epic.
We're similar.
They are.
Yeah.
And it happened the whole weekend at the Masters CrossFit Games. I would love to see that. And that's what's cool about this format is that you could do teenagers, you could do masters, you could do whatever. And it'd be very easy to pull off.
Yeah.
The more opportunities we give the athletes to get exposure, the better.
Agree. Which is why I'm like trying to think of somebody, like when you think of those pairings, I'm not just trying to pull out Dale as much as like I love watching like Dalen and Hopper and like those are the Colton. They're the ones on all the time. Like somebody else needs to do workouts.
Yeah. Like right now we're getting the same group
Yeah.
over and over again. We need new blood.
Yeah.
One thing I left off the notes is Crash Crucible is this weekend.
Mhm.
And I thought I put it on there.
You did. It's up top right after Carolyne went. You wanted
There you
to
go.
talk. Yeah.
Yeah. I would just wanted to get your impressions on, we have Crash coming up this weekend. Carolyne is competing. I wanted to get your impressions on who you think will do well at Crash, but I think Carolyne's going to do very well, but I'm taking her out of the mix for this exercise and saying who I think will do well. So who do you guys have? And Carolyne, we'll start with the men. So you don't have to do the women's side because you're competing against them.
I mean, coming off the games, I think you have to go with Chris. Is it Ibarra or Ibarra?
Yeah.
Ibarra. He's a favorite. I think Taylor Self and Colton. I think to me, those are the three that on paper are the favorites. Now on paper and in execution is a different thing.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's going to come down to Colton and Taylor. Whether Chris gets third or not is the question for me.
The thing with Crash is it's a different scoring, right? So
It is.
if you have a bad event, it can really crush you.
Do you think
And I don't
Colton
know.
or Taylor are going to have a bad event though?
No, but it just takes one blow up to happen. You just don't know, right? Like you get caught up in a race and something happens. But
yeah.
I don't think so. But I'm just saying it's a different scoring system, and it definitely rewards specialists versus consistency. So
I would pick Chris
To win the whole thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it's going to come down to Taylor and Colton.
I don't know enough about Chris, like in terms of his strengths and weaknesses yet. He's
been slowly getting better and better every year.
For sure.
And he made the games. The other two did not.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he was very consistent at West Coast. I think that's my pick. Heard it here first.
That's a good pick.
But my surprise, my dark horse is Tristan Harrison. If people did not see Tristan at West Coast, he made a lot of noise for a person nobody knew.
Isn't
he was
he
up in the top 10 for a while at West Coast.
Did he call in for Kill Taylor the day it started or the day before? Yeah.
Yep. And almost beat Taylor the day before, but messed up. Because he tried to do it all in one round.
Yes. He was done though.
But he's a good guy. We interviewed him for the show. I truly believe in him. I think he'll be top 5 for sure.
Yeah. The men's race is going to be exciting.
Then on the women's side, we'll let Carolyne sit this one out. Who do you got?
I think Lydia Fish is going to be on the podium. I think Fee will do well. I'm a little worried about a couple of these maybe being on the heavy side for her. Although Fee moves weight really well, so I don't know. And I think Jordan Chefs is going to do awesome.
I got to go with Carolyne Stanley.
It's a good pick.
She got better this year. She did well at the games, which was weird, and who knows what that really means.
Yeah.
And then this is really a question for you, Carolyne. Elizabeth Wishart killed it at NorCal.
She's good.
That was my dark horse pick ish.
I will be shocked if she wins Crash. I mean,
she's good
possible, but
she caught my eye last year at NorCal Classic, and I've been following her stuff since then, and she's impressive.
Yeah, she's my dark horse. Caroline Stanley's my pick. But I do think that with this, athleticism is an aspect, and I think that really plays into our co-host hands. And so I'm really excited to see Caroline throw down with all these youngins. Her and Fee going against the youngins.
How old is Fee?
She's probably like, she's not. I would. How do I say this?
She's not a master.
No.
No. I would say she's probably around 30.
I think she's right around 30.
So she's a youngin. I consider that youngin.
Yeah, but Lydia Fish is a real youngin.
Lydia's young. I think Lydia's gonna win the midline sadness workout.
She was impressive at Syndicate.
Yeah. I don't know how her strict deficit it's strict deficit handstand push-ups, right? Yeah. So for me, that one's killing me. I'm picking women because I just think there's so many women that are gonna get stuck there and not even get through that workout, which is gonna kill. I don't know. Like if a ton get stuck, I guess with this P scoring, I don't know, maybe a bunch of them will wind up at 0 or 2 points or something. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out who out of this group will get through that workout. I feel like the rest is fine.
Do you have any dark horse picks? Is Jordan your dark horse or just Jordan?
Yeah, Jordan's my dark horse.
Okay. I like Jordan a lot.
Oh, is Kyra competing? I didn't even see her on the list.
Yeah, Kyra's competing.
Oh, I didn't see her.
We always put her down low and she gets pissed at us, so we might as well like just keep it rolling.
Yeah.
She should do well. She should do very well.
Yeah, I don't like her endurance right now.
Yeah, there's not a ton of endurance.
It's just a lot in a couple days, right?
Yeah. Meh.
There's not too much quads for Kyra, like quads.
Yeah.
Like there's not much like there's one workout that has squatting with the thrusters and the lunges, but other than that, a lot of it's cardio or shoulder dependent or skill, like a skill dependent. Like there's overhead squats in the last one, but you're not failing overhead squats because your legs are tired. It's because your arms from like rope climbs or something. Like it's arms. She has like, because she's got really good lower body strength. I mean, she's a great puller too. I think has very good handstand push-ups as well.
Yeah, with her shorter levers, those handstand push-ups might be easiest for her. Jordan's got long arms. Lydia's got long arms, so that sucks.
I can deadlift with my long arms.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything about Nick Matthew. We just forgetting about him.
I saw him.
One
Squatting.
pony.
No, I feel like he's like your squatter, like a Kyra. I don't, although I think he's got great like strict handstand push up. I don't know what his ring muscle up capacity is like. I think both Colton and Taylor will kill him on some of these ring muscle up. Yeah. And Chris. Yeah.
Don't keep ignoring my pick.
I think Nick will be relevant the whole weekend.
Oh yeah.
He'll be in the mix. Don't know where he's at training wise right now. I just think he might be a little bit behind those top 3. Not much, but just enough that the other 3 separate a little bit. But again, this could be his CrossFit Games. This is what he's been training for, right? Like,
yeah.
Did you see her? Good luck, Caroline.
Thank you.
Shout out to Lana, who has been helping me with names for the Masters documentary. I just send her screenshots of my editing software. Lana, do you know who this is?
Jess had to do that with me at the games. Who's this? Every person.
Who did that?
Jess, Rosie View Photography.
Yeah.
Another one. Sorry, I just thought about on the woman's side. Brittany Weiss that
Mhm.
won the qualifier, so she's one also that could do a dark horse.
I'm anxious to see Molly McGrandy too, after a year with the Mayhem team, coming back individual.
Mhm.
How she does on the individual side, because
She's on the team
she's been
last
a
year,
semifinal.
or
Yeah, she was
What's
on the
that?
Mayhem team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Kerstetter, yep.
Herstetter. She's a home run hitter, so she's gonna have
Yeah.
some good river, like very good. I would expect like the bike
Double
one,
under.
the bike double under, like the power output that she has like on the machines is like better than anyone in the sport. Like she in the quarterfinals, I think demolished that rowing workout that had like the step ups.
Mm.
Any type of machine, she crushes that. So I'll expect her to do very, very well there.
There's no like max lift, right?
Nope.
See, that's why I didn't put her in the top for me. Because if she had like if you had a max lift or a big handstand walk, like I would definitely go with her, and because her P score would be huge.
The handstand. There is a handstand walk in Midnight
No.
Madness.
But it's not like it's not like a sprint.
Is she
No.
fast on her hands? I don't remember her.
Yeah, she killed it at West Coast.
But is she killing it because of the,
The
row?
row. Yes.
Because it
She
was
killed it because of the
Krista
row.
Smith that was super fast on her hands.
That's true.
She
I
killed it
think,
because of the row.
and I think Olivia was crushing the row, which then buys her time on the handstand walk.
We've already debated this. That was a rowing workout, Scott.
100%. Unless you had like a tutor like handstand walk that you could just.
We'll be doing this show 5 years from now, and I'll be talking about it being a handstand workout.
It's not
I don't know if I should talk about tutor's handstand walk though.
Cole Grieshaber has become the handstand.
Yeah, he's the
thing.
handstand walk. I mean, Victor Hoffer too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some good handstand walk.
Cole was blazing fast
Yeah.
at West Coast. That was impressive.
Sprinting on her hands.
All right. Well, maybe Jamie and I will pop on if she's not at tennis tournaments next weekend after some of the crash.
It should be free.
Talking about what we saw that day. And we will be back next Sunday. I'm actually going to Pittsburgh next weekend.
Okay.
But I'll be back in the hotel in the evenings.
So you're definitely
So-
not going to crash.
No, my daughter just got a new job. She's giving us our car back.
Yay.
So we're going to Pittsburgh to get that, celebrate with her, because she's now going to a studio to be a photographer.
Did she take the NRA job or whatever?
No, she did not. No, she got another job offer right after that
Okay.
at a photo studio, and is taking that job. And we're super excited for her. So heading to Pittsburgh for that and celebrate with her. And yeah, and then we'll be back to do the show next Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
But look for maybe some crash updates. We will see you all next time on Clydesdale Media's Sunday Night CrossFit Talk.